A Christmas Carol, a ghost story of Christmas. Chapter 6, Happy Moments. Young Ebenezer and Dick Wilkins didn't need to be told twice by old Fezziwig. Quick as a wink, the young man cleared away the desks and other furniture in the warehouse. Soon, the large room looked as open and inviting as a ballroom. In came a fiddler who began playing a child's holiday tune. Mrs. Fezziwig arrived next, all smiles followed by her daughters. There was dancing and music and laughter and good tea. Several guests approached Fezziwig to thank him. As he watched the scenes before him, Scrooge seemed to become a different person. Unaware of what he was doing, he hummed along with the music, watched the dancers, and sniffed the food. He nearly forgot about the spirit standing beside him. But then the ghost pointed to the guests lined up to talk to Fezziwig. It looked like your former boss didn't have to do much to earn the gratitude of these folks. He spent only a small amount of money to put on this Christmas party. Tell me, is that enough for him to deserve such praise and gratefulness from his guests? Yes, Scrooge brought it out, suddenly remembering how much he had admired Fezziwig. He was our boss and he could make us happy or unhappy. It doesn't matter how much he spent on the party. The happiness he gave us was so great. It's as if it cost him a fortune. Scrooge's words trailed off and he went silent. What's the matter? The ghost asked. Nothing, Scrooge said, looking down. I just wish I could say a word or two to my own employee right now. That's all. The ghost reached toward Scrooge again. My time with you is growing short. We must move on now. After another touch from the ghost, Scrooge found himself in a shabby bedroom that he'd never seen before. A woman sat up in bed looking tired. He was holding a tiny baby bundled in a blanket. Where are we, Spirit? Scrooge asked, feeling confused. I thought you were showing me things from my own past. I've never been to this place before, and I don't know that woman. The ghost pointed to the door just as it opened, and a man came in. It was Bob Cratchit, Scrooge's clerk, looking several years younger than he was. Here's some water, my love, Cratchit said, handing a cup to the woman with the baby. Thank you. She accepted it with a smile and had a long drink. Would you like to hold our new son, Bob? Do you think it's all right? Cratchit looked eager but also nervous. He's so much smaller than our others were when they were born. I don't want to hurt him. You won't. Cratchit's wife held up the bundle, beaming with joy. Cratchit moved closer to take the baby from his wife. As Cratchit gently rocked him, the baby's large eyes gazed up at him. You're so beautiful, Cratchit whispered to the baby. My perfect boy, my beloved little Tiny Tim. Tiny Tim? Scrooge shook his head. I believe he's the youngest of the children whom Cratchit fed on his small salary. But Spirit, what does this family scent have to do with me? Instead of providing an answer, the Spirit asked a question. Who decided the amount of your clerk's salary? Well, I do, of course, Scrooge snapped. I pay him that his work is worth for me. To me, no more, no less. The ghost tilted its head in reply. Scrooge frowned, reading disapproval in the ghost's expression. He glanced back at Bob Cratchit, who was still cooing over his newborn son. I am a good man of business, Scrooge muttered. You may ask anyone, Spirit, and they'll tell you the same thing. Besides, if I pay my employee more than his worth, everyone would call me a sentimental fool. I would never receive fair treatment in business again. Instead, my associates would try to cheat me and take advantage of my weakness. The ghost of Christmas past didn't say anything. Instead, it touched Scrooge's heart again, transporting both of them into the smallest sitting room. A man and a woman were sitting in front of the crackling fire. Scrooge went pale, instantly recognized the woman. No, Spirit, I beg you with all my heart, do not show me this part of my past.